Hello, Internet. It's your boy, MC Gingerbread, back at it again with another video hating on Sony because I love those delicious hate views. Sony's been in the news quite a lot as of late, and none of it has been flattering, and I just wanted to take the time to discuss those stories and give my thoughts on them, as well as we might be witnessing the downfall of a major video game corporation before our very eyes. I think that's kind of cool. Anyway, let's get to it. Lately, we've seen Sony in the news for some not-so-flattering reasons. The most recent story involving their most beloved of franchises, The Last of Us, and how they decided to remaster this game for a second time in less than 10 years. Not only has this not been a long time since the original remaster, they also decided to charge a full premium price on this game, and not just the regular premium. No. The Sony premium of $70 fucking dollars. And they didn't even change the price of that, like, worldwide. It's 70 flat throughout the entire world, which $70 in US currency is like not the same in everywhere else. 70 pounds is more than $70 in American currency, which is just really shitty, and like they're the only company doing that. But either way, the game did a major overhaul on graphics, and I can say that 100% the game looks better. I've played and beated it just recently. But they didn't add any gameplay changes or anything like that. They added some accessibility features, which is really cool and definitely should set a precedent for video game companies to go forward, that they should have done that in the first place. But charging you $70 for a graphics overhaul is fucking absurd, in my opinion. And like, they took out the multiplayer, which means you're even getting less than what you paid for originally in the original remaster. And that didn't even cost $70. And of course, if I know Sony, which they've been hinting at making a Last of Us multiplayer just recently, I'm sure they're going to release the multiplayer as like a standalone system that they're going to monetize the ever-loving fuck out of. So, yay. Oh, and that's not the only juicy bit of unflattering news that Sony has had. Just recently, they also announced that they're going to be raising the prices of the PS5 console in other countries besides the US to keep up with demand issues that they are currently dealing with. The price hikes can range from about $50 to $100 depending on which country you reside in. Never in the history of video games has a gaming console gone up in price. The only system to do that was the website formerly known as Facebook increasing their prices on their VR headset, the Meta Quest 2, which it isn't a great look to be following in the footsteps of Facebook when it comes to business practices. Not great. Also, I find it rather interesting that they decided to not raise the prices in the console in North America, as I'm sure the backlash would have been swift, and as if they were trying to combat resellers, which Sony clearly isn't. Raising the prices in America would only worsen the state of sales in PS5. In even more interesting news, the current hearing for Microsoft acquiring Activision is going on, and almost every video game company aside from Sony is agreeing that there's enough competition in the market that it isn't going to hinder it. Sony, however, feels that if they would no longer be able to compete with Microsoft if the acquisition were to go through, which is mighty rich coming from a company that heavily relies on exclusive content to sell their consoles. They pay for the exclusive rights for Forspoken, Final Fantasy, Street Fighter, Tekken, fucking Spider-Man. They even get exclusive missions and content that PlayStation players get, like the Spider-Man for the Avengers game or the extra missions for Destiny. It's extremely hypocritical for Sony to be crying wolf over Xbox's acquisitions, as we all know that if Sony had the money to make these kind of moves, they would 100% be doing the exact same thing. Microsoft even committed to saying that COD franchise is probably going to be utilized similarly to how Minecraft is, and how that game is on literally everything. Microsoft could make Call of Duty exclusive, but that would make the game less valuable. It would severely kneecap their revenue for the game sales, as they won't be able to sell it to as many people. And that's kind of how companies work. They like money. So yeah. Sony seems kind of desperate to make more revenue as they're trying to compete with Microsoft and their massive amount of money that they can just sling around to purchase companies. Not only did they end up upping the prices of their games and consoles, but they've been on an IP spree, either selling their IP rights to make movie studios or make TV shows for their popular franchises, even there's some not so popular ones. They already did Uncharted, and they're in the process of making a Last of Us TV show. There was already a God of War TV show planned for Netflix. There is a Horizon TV show, a Twisted Metal TV show, a Gran Turismo TV show, and an unexpected turn of events. There's even talks of them making a Days Gone TV show, which, you know, was a game that was going to have a sequel until Sony canceled it and forced the studio that was going to make it to make the remaster of Last of Us that we previously talked about. This also caused a rift to form in between the Sony Bend and game studio and Sony themselves. Some even took to leave the company, though they, quote, didn't leave because of the rejection of Days Gone 2. You know. Not only that, but Sony has been on a remaster spree as of late, with the remasters of Last of Us, Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima, Final Fantasy VII, Demon's Souls, fucking Death Stranding, and others, with a good portion of them having confusing and overpriced upgrade costs for those people that want the PS5 experience. And anyone watching these stories can see the writing on the wall. Sony even took to trying to emulate Xbox's Game Pass with little success, because a good portion of the games that they offer are games that all the Sony fans have already played, and the rest of them are unable to download, and they're niche games that have to be subjected to Sony's subpar streaming service, and it's just not good. Like, it constantly disconnects, and it's laggy. Gross. Also, in a new article that just came out right as I was writing and recording this video, Sony announced that the PSVR 2 would not be backwards compatible with the PSVR 1 game libraries, which is just a huge blow to the value of their VR headset, as there aren't very many promising games. Now, if you want to play both the PSVR 1 and 2 games, you have to own both headsets, which is just absolutely stupid. There's no reason for this. As the PSVR 2 is the newer and better headset, it should be able to play the previous generation games no problem. But instead they decided this was the right move financially, as it makes them more money this way. There's no way that makes sense. Now people can't trade in their old ones and play the new ones and the old games. They have to keep both, which is just stupid. There's no way to justify that. It's just blatantly dumb. Why would you actively kneecap your own system headset to make it worth less? Why? While I was editing this video, Sony also announced that they are going to make a Horizon Zero Dawn remake, which nobody asked for since the game's only 5 years old, and they also made their customer service put behind a paywall, which is just so mind-bogglingly dumb and so obviously Sony. It's just ridiculous. All in all, I feel like Sony is feeling the walls closing in on them as they are reaching out in survival mode as they need to create more revenue to stay afloat. Their 2022 exclusive lineup being dwindled down to only God of War Ragnarok left as a good portion of their exclusive were delayed. They seem to be desperate for cash as they release remaster after remaster for the PS5, hoping that they can milk these popular franchises for as much money as possible, as well as selling their IPs to create, if Uncharted and the Halo show are any indication, subpar at best TV shows and movies, essentially trying to get the most cash for the least amount of effort possible. Perhaps they can turn things around with some tricks up their sleeve, as there is always an air of mystery around Sony, but as time goes on, they only seem to be more and more anxious as Microsoft sets themselves up to have an incredible portfolio for the years to come. That's all I have to say for right now. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments down below if you like or dislike anything that I just said. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.